do you believe that toxic masculinity exists, or do you believe that it does not?
I mean, I guess I am kind of like a 50-50. I wouldn't say like a full 100%, just because I'm like both people can be toxic in certain ways. But I mean, I feel like, it holds to different levels, because we're both female and male are going to be held to different levels of what their toxicity is at.
So if that's the case, if toxic masculinity exists, what are some examples of how that manifests itself in reality? Like, what's an example of toxic masculinity?
I mean, I definitely think that it can be like, as like a male perspective, like how males have to hold themselves accountable to certain levels. Like, like I have to be better than this guy, or I have to be better in this way. But I think it's like the same as females. Like, we just have a different perspective in our different era. Like, with males, it can be, oh, he's better at hunting, or he's better at working out. But then possibly with women, it's, oh, her Instagram's better than mine, or she's a better mother than I am.
Okay. I don't know if we're getting a clear answer. I mean, I appreciate that.
I know that's like, it's a 50-50.
Kind of on this
yeah,
seesaw kind of in a way, which is fine. But I mean, like, I didn't hear anything even in that description, like men, like competition. Is that a bad thing? Does that make somebody toxic? Like trying to be better than somebody else, trying to be stronger or more fit or a better leader? Like what part of that is toxic?
No, I don't think it's exactly toxic, but I think at a certain level it can come toxic, depending on how much you like take in with it. Like if that's like your number one goal in life is just to be like a competitive person. And again, I think it goes both ways for all genders.
Okay. To the rest of the panel, what are some examples of toxic masculinity?
Continue on.
Well, I mean, I think like, for instance, like my ex would tell me all the time, like he hated what I did for work and he didn't want me working, or he didn't want me taking certain jobs, or he'd be like, I don't want you doing that. I don't want you doing this. And he was raised by like a stay-at-home mom, and everyone around him, like all the women around him, are stay-at-home mothers. Well, I'm not a mom. We're not married. And so certain things he wouldn't allow me to do, but he was allowed to go out and do this and do that. And I was literally just working. And so I actually ended up quitting my job, or like I wasn't posting as much on Instagram. I wasn't doing like certain things because I was always like, he was always getting upset about it and coming at me about it. And then one of the reasons for him cheating or treating me like shit was because, well, I'm the man of the house and I pay all the bills. And so I just kind of feel like I can do whatever I want. And I feel like that's the biggest definition of toxic masculinity there can be. Just because you're a man and you do this and do that, like you're allowed to treat me like trash, and I'm just have to just stay at home like a little.
Well, let's zone in on that one example, right? So if a guy is responsible for the household, if he's paying the bills, if he's responsible for your protection, if he's responsible for taking care of you and making sure that you are not having to pay your own money for rent or groceries or whatever it is, what makes him, why doesn't he get the final say, right? So
he was getting the final say and everything, but it wasn't like he wasn't paying like my bills, like my cell phone bill, certain things like that, like certain things he wasn't paying for. He wasn't paying for my day-to-day life, for instance. He wasn't, and I was buying all the groceries, and I was cooking all the dinners, and I was cooking all the food, and I was cleaning the house, and I wasn't complaining about any of that.
So,
but there was certain things he wasn't paying, but it doesn't.
So if a guy pays all the bills, he can tell you what to do, basically.
No, not really necessarily tell me what to do, but I respect him, and I thought we were going to get married and like have children, and like I respected him as like he's the man of the household. But it doesn't give you a right to go missing for 2 days, or turn off your location, or treat me like shit, or go hit on another girl in front of my face just because you're the man of the house.
Well, these are like, again, these are really specific examples. These are really specific examples that.
And this is just me going off my example of what
I but I'm trying to get it right. But like you're tying it back to like a very like I'm talking about. Is there, so it leads me to this: is there a definition, or do we have agreed upon traits and things that we would consider in the category of toxic masculinity? Genevieve, you're nodding your head.
Yes. Yeah, I have three for you. 1, dominating women. 2, devaluing women. And 3, homophobia. For me, that is toxic masculinity.
What do you mean by dominating women?
Dominating them in a way that they see fit. So it could be mentally, physically, overpowering their wishes, ignoring their boundaries, pushing through with the things that only they want.
I'm still not clear on this, because I mean, it's like, are we talking? So it's just respective to women. Like if I do something so if I'm doing something to a woman that she doesn't care for, I'm therefore committing toxic masculinity.
Doesn't care for? No, I think if you cross someone's boundaries, so they really care that they've been crossed, their boundaries, right? So if you're dominating me, I mean, you could dominate me in many ways. I'm not talking about the kinky way here. I'm talking about a way in which you override what my wishes are. And you may do that physically or mentally.
So if I disagree, if you say, hey, I want you home by 9, and I'm saying, no, I'm going to come home at 9:30, that's toxic masculinity. I see. I'm not clear on this, because because we're talking about like I'm trying to drill down. Is it domination? Is it aggressiveness? Is it competition? All of these things that exist like within the male hierarchy. So let me try a different tactic then. What are examples of non-toxic masculinity? What are examples of healthy masculinity? Can you give me those?
Yeah, providing for somebody, caring for somebody, protecting somebody. That's healthy masculinity. Okay,
so basically, it's okay for masculinity is good when it benefits the other person, but it's not good when it benefits the man. Is what I just heard.
I think you can make decisions together, right? Dominating is not. Dominating is choosing something for yourself and not consulting your partner, and just pushing through with your own idea.
I'm not necessarily talking about in the context of a relationship. We can go there, but I don't think to belabor this point anymore, because again, what I'm hearing is if a man chooses to do something, and this is what I think was wrong with modern feminism in a nutshell, and this is exactly why I make videos and take men on these trips and do these things, because men are taught that it is your duty and your responsibility to protect others and to shrink for women so they can become higher up. And anything that you do is not allowed to benefit you personally. It's supposed to only benefit somebody else or the woman, and they have to be propped up and put on these pedestals. And I don't buy that. I think that, like, why is it that men have to sacrifice what they want for women? And therefore, but if they don't, they're labeled as toxic. But women are allowed to get what they want. They can be provided for. They can do all this stuff. They get everything they want, and that's healthy.
All right, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed that clip. If you want to check out the full-length podcast episode, you can find that right over here. Also, make sure you visit my website over here, where you'll find my supplements, the opportunity to book me privately one-on-one for coaching, and most importantly, my new School of Unplugging, which you'll find on the courses tab. Newer to the channel? Hit subscribe.